Right, people, Caicedo and Lavia have gone to Chelsea, and that changes so much for them this season. And it has now, I think it's truly raised the bar for a few reasons. These transfers should unlock a whole new tactical approach for Poch and help avoid some of the key problems that they faced in their defeat against West Ham. Chelsea have demonstrated that they actually have two tactical systems this season, despite everybody thinking that they were going to solely play the 4-2-3-1. I know we did here at JLA, but this isn't the case. And it adds so much to their top four hopes, the fact that they've got this flexibility. Let's have a look at the 5-2-3 tactical approach that they used in the game against Liverpool. I'm going to put Sanchez in goal because I can't be asked to put Kepa in there because has he gone? I can't even remember. But this approach I thought was interesting because one, we didn't expect it, and for the most part it worked well in distributing the ball from the defensive third. Disasi and Colwill, two really solid players on the ball. In terms of ball progression as well, it really helped as well from getting from that defensive third to the attacking third. But the important part of this tactic is that it finds a way of allowing the likes of Reece James and Chilwell the opportunity to play higher up the pitch, to use their width, use their quality that they have, but to also have that safeguarding backwards. So it isn't overly aggressive, and it means a little bit less boom boom pow for the opposition in transition. The centre midfield area was fascinating against Liverpool as well, and it went against what we were generally expecting once again. You had Enzo Fernandez, who was the one that actually went forward in this game. Conor Gallagher was actually the midfielder who adopted the deeper role and played as that 6 in midfield. And what this allowed was Enzo Fernandez to take up a higher role and be more of a creator. In particular, being on that right-hand side. He picked up the ball numerous times in that right-hand side half space, as his heat map shows. This was really useful again for Reece James, who of course can play as that inverted player at times if needed. And if you had that double pivot, he might sort of try and get involved that little bit more and let Chilwell be the wide player. But in fact, actually, they both did it. Reece James stayed out here. It was Sterling who sometimes came into those little half spaces, and Fernandez worked in that half space actually a lot of the time as well, allowing Reece James to stay higher and allow him to do what he does best, which is get those crosses in, use that width that he's got. He can drive with the ball as well. However, having said all this, it didn't actually work against West Ham. Enzo got forward again this week and was fairly creative once more. He had 121 touches. He created 4 key passes and made a total of 94 completed passes. But his and Conor Gallagher's heat maps show the problem of playing these two together in a match against a team like West Ham. These are the heat maps you expect from players playing as sort of dual 8s. The problem you have here is someone like Antonio, who plays in this area and can bully the opposition. And it left them vulnerable at the back, not having that contingency that someone like Caicedo would bring if you were to play a midfield 3. And that's why in this one, I think Gallagher should have played that similar role that he did against Liverpool, where he was a little bit deeper, let Fernandez go and create, and just safeguard yourself somewhat from that counter-attack. Give yourself that protection, because a direct physical team like West Ham were able to do exactly that, get the ball to Antonio, and of course he scored a goal. So the approach with the 4-2-3-1 could offer a solution to that specific problem. The 4-2-3-1 was used often in pre-season, and there are some really interesting tactical facets within the approach. I think the big difference, of course, is that this system features a 10. And the secret weapon was going to be a box. So this is the 3 at the back that they used for the game against Liverpool. But if we make those simple changes, so Disasi comes out, Caicedo comes in to make it a midfield 3, Gallagher comes out, Mudryk goes in, and you turn that into a back 4. Chukwuemeka playing in that 10 role. 10's going to be really, really important in this 4-2-3-1. And what's going to be even more important is that tilt that will occur. Now, we saw this a couple of times in pre-season, but a box is the secret weapon for Pochettino here. Jackson will come and help out with Mudryk. We actually saw this with that goal against Brighton. You saw Mudryk's goal where he bumped it off. Jackson used him as a bit of a backboard, actually. Carried on his run and then scored a goal into that corner. But that box will come down that left-hand side, and it will come from Chukwuemeka in those half spaces. We can just show you there. So he'll be in those half spaces. Jackson as well, ready to be that backboard. Or if he has to go into the channel, so be it. He can drop deeper as well, Chukwuemeka. And then Chilwell, of course, getting involved as well. And the interplay down that left-hand side will do a few things. It will suck in the opposition. And let's just totally show you that box there. Not the prettiest of boxes, I'll be honest. But a box nonetheless. Okay, a little, it's like a, what's it called? I can't remember what the shape is. Tell me what the shape is. But what's going to be really important, far more important than that, is that you then have 3 in midfield. So 2 can essentially be those dual 8s in terms of applying pressure when you haven't got the ball. But also you have that safety net of Caicedo playing in that 6 role there. The other thing that's crucial here is Fernandes, if he stays out of the way, he can be, a sort of an attacking 6 if he wants to. It's to sort of spread the play. He could also pick up the ball here. And you've got 2 players. We spoke about it on the fallout, actually. You've got Trent and Szoboszlai. 2 players who can be on this right-hand side and play those really long passes over to the other side of the pitch and really stretch the pitch. That's something that both of these players can obviously do. But Fernandes will have a lot of space here. And he'll be sort of let off the leash here. But if you think he was trying to do that with Gallagher before, but Gallagher didn't seem to have that discipline. Also, Gallagher's more of a box-to-box midfielder himself as well and doesn't truly know how to play in that 6th position. By having someone like Caicedo there, you allow him to do that. So you've got that increased cover, but you've also got width on the right-hand side. And what's going to be really important here is Sterling or Madueke, if he was to come and replace him. They are perfect for that role. Stay wide, use what you're brilliant at, which is driving at the opposition, making life hard, or even kind of making those overlapping runs. Because what's great here is you've got someone like Reece James who can go around the side, put great crosses in. He's got that athleticism when he is fit, of course, as well. But also underlapping runs and actually just coming in and getting involved on this side. So let's have a look at Caicedo and why he's the perfect fit for this system. Caicedo is nailed on to play as the 6 in this Chelsea system, and it just makes perfect sense. I mean, any team is going to make perfect sense as a 6 or as an 8, which we'll talk about in a second. But from a defensive perspective, he's clearly good enough to put up the level of output that allows Enzo Fernandez to play further forward. He currently sits in the top 12% for tackles and interceptions at 4.35 per 90. But Caicedo also works from a build-up perspective too. Last season, he displayed that he's comfortable on the ball in all areas of the pitch. With him being the deepest midfielder at Chelsea, he will have an important duty in making sure the ball is able to be transitioned through the middle third from the defence. Last season, he was averaging 56 passes received per 90, which was in the top 12% in Europe, which again shows how reliable he is within your team and how that, again, allows Enzo to commit to being a little bit further forward because he's got his power there, sitting there and dealing with a lot of both the ball progressing and also the defensive work. And when it comes to progressing the ball from the middle third to the final third, he's also elite. He averaged 5.19 passes into the final third last season for Brighton. The reason this is important is that his ball progression into the final third will likely be to one of those players who make up that left-hand side of that box that we've just spoken about. Let's move on to Lavia, and some may think that Lavia will simply be a backup to Caicedo, and the likelihood of that is probably true, I think, for the big games. Maybe. But it may also offer yet another tactical option for Pochettino and this Chelsea side and make them one of the most adaptable teams in the league. Lavia's strengths lay mainly in being robust in the middle of the park and also having the quality and composure to either carry it or to find a teammate as well. Really good at driving with the ball. We saw that last season. And this is why we shouldn't discount that the signing of Lavia could mean that he plays in this team and starts in this Chelsea 11. I think this is what's interesting about the Chelsea squad is that it is up for grabs. You know, if you play well, you will get minutes, I would imagine, right? With Lavia, the addition of Lavia, it allows for you to have 3 in midfield of Caicedo, Fernandes and Lavia. Those 3 in that system, it gives them another level of control in matches without sacrificing midfield dominance due to not having a number 10 in the team, because of course it would be Chukwuemeka who makes way. The 4-3-3 would mean that Caicedo would play as an 8 in this system. You know, he's done that previously before. He's done that at Brighton. He can play as that 8, and he's probably better than someone like Gallagher in that position. He can play a multitude of positions, and that's why he has cost this amount of money. Now, this is his heat map from Brighton's game against Leicester at the start of last season. So during which McAllister played as the 6, whilst Caicedo and Gross played as 8. Now, everybody seems to have forgotten about how Caicedo is also a natural 8, as well as having those qualities as a 6. And so that's why signing Lavia and Caicedo probably makes a little bit more sense than it feels like initially, because it gives you that option to have someone who can drive with the ball in terms of Lavia, and it may allow Caicedo to drop in. But, you know, if he drives down this side, Enzo Fernandez can do that as well. You've got 3 players here, all of which can play as a 6. All of which can play as an 8. Maybe Lavia a little bit less so, but in terms of his development, that might be something that Pochettino looks to utilise. Or, if you wanted to, you could play a bit of a double pivot as well if you're chasing a game and you want to bring on someone like Chukwuemeka. It gives a lot of options to this team. So it's been a crazy time for Chelsea, but tactically they have a lot of options. Obviously, they should do. They've spent £1 billion. But also a lot of potential in this side and a lot of players that are only going to get better. So there is no rhythm with Chelsea right now. They've been waiting for that for some time. And I'll be honest, without Nkunku, they kind of still probably need another striker, quite possibly. There's a lot of pressure on Jackson's shoulders right now. But that midfield three is excellent. It is multifunctional. And look, say this season, are you picking this midfield over Arsenal's or Man City's? No. Next season, though, maybe it might get a little bit closer. And in terms of that progression that we've seen with Arsenal, buying young, talented players and giving them time in games, if they do that with players that, of course, have cost a lot of money, but can play in a 6, can play in an 8, this Chelsea side, at some stage, will blossom.